Well, the weekend has come to a close, but as always, we do not end things here. As you probably know already, New Japan continues with more of the New Japan Cup. We continue with more, of course, with the first round matches. So we will see who will advance. However, the main event features, of course, a preliminary match between, of course, Yuji Nagata and champion Hiroki Goto. However, in this match, of course, Yuji Nagata will team up with Satoshi Kojima, taking on Goto with his tag team partner, the ace and the president of New Japan, Hiroshi Tanahashi. So who's going to build up the momentum so far? Right now is Yuji Nagata, but Hiroki Goto needs to build up that momentum. And then we move on, of course, with AEW Revolution. As you know, we've been waiting for this for a while. We have plenty matches taking place. We have title matches and special matches as well. Do not forget the Hollywood ending. Who will walk out? Who will get the Hollywood ending? That's a good question. Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay will kill each other in a steel cage. And of course, we have our main event. Will rated superstar Copeland defeat Moxley and once again free AEW from Moxley's grasp? That's the thing we will find out soon enough. And then, of course, we will cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what match set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to give you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have been said, so let's time to rock and roll. So let's begin with, of course, with day 2 of New Japan with New Japan Cup. Okay, day 2 of New Japan with the New Japan Cup, and they were in the Boycon Gymnasium. I don't know where the hell that is, but somewhere in Tokyo. But anyway, let's start with the non-New Japan Cup matches. The first one we have Bullet Club, consistent of Chase Owens and Sonata taking on the members of Just Five Guys, consistent of Taka Michinoku and Yuya Uemura. Now, don't forget, four guys still have their problem towards Sonata for betraying them last year, so they still got their feud. However, this match ended with Chase Owen applying the C trigger onto Taka Michinoku, but as always, Yuya Uemura still has some unfinished business with Sonata, despite the fact that he beat him in day one of the New Japan Cup. So we'll see what happens from here on out. Next match, we have the United Empire, consistent of TJP, Jacob Austin Young, and Jeff Cobb, taking on TMDK's Hartley Jackson, Rohei Oiwa, and Zack Sabre Jr. So, of course, anything could happen from here on out in this type of match. However, it was Oiwa with the discus lariat onto Jacob Austin Young, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our next match, we have the House of Torture, or should I say, the House of Losers, consistent of Kanemaru and Takahashi and Ren Narita. Now, however, as you know, you probably can guess who their opponents were. Well, it's, of course, the War Dogs. As you probably can guess, this Finley is back, and this time he brought Geto and Gabe Kidd. Now it seems that Dave Finley, not only he has his full attention for the main topic, but also to deal with the House of Torture, claiming that they were being kicked out. Well, we'll see what happens, because we all know that Evil, he's a dumb idiot thinking he controlled. He tried to say he was a president, for Christ's sakes. But anyway, you probably can guess how's this going to win. Well, Kanemaru, he got overkilled by Finley just like that. However, Evil was involved in the next match, teaming with the so-called Dick and Sho, taking on LIJ's Bushi, Shingo Takagi, and Yota Tsuji. Of course, Evil is still once again trying to tell Yota Tsuji that he is not the guy who's going to be making it at the top. Well, this match ended as usual with Sho shenanigans with the wrench, and then, of course, the sharpshooter by Evil to Bushi. But, however, well, David Finley, as you probably can guess, he wanted a piece of Evil for what he did, but Evil, saying he's tough, well, he's a loser, to be honest. He ran like a cow with his tails between his legs, thinking he's so damn smart. Sooner or later, David Finley's going to make him pay for what he did, because in reality, House of Torture does not make the call for Bullet Club. The one person who does is David Finley. So sooner or later, we will see that clash soon enough. Now we jump into our 4 matches involving the New Japan Cup. First, we have Boltin Oleg versus Bad Luck Fale. Now, I have to say, this is one of those matches where you can say, holy shit. You probably can guess why. Let's look at the factors here. You look at Bad Luck Fale, a big dude, very strong big dude. How the hell do you put a guy of his size out for the count? The answer was Boltin Oleg. Holy shit. He applied the kamikaze on him, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and I wrote that note right there. Put holy shit right there, because you don't forget things like that, folks. You don't. Now, our next match, we have the Great-O-Khan versus El Phantasmo. Now, of course, rule of thumb here, if Great-O-Khan beats El Phantasmo, well, he could get an opportunity for the New Japan World Television title. But here's the wrinkle that you guys need to know. Whoever walks out from this match, well, they have to face Shota Umino. Now, no one's has seen him since Osaka. We just don't know what's going to happen. Because we know, to me, I think Great-O-Khan is full of it. I mean, he is good at it, but he acts like he thinks he runs New Japan. Well, we will see. But however, unfortunately, El Phantasmo ended up losing to him with the Eliminator. And of course, that smug face out of Great-O-Khan shows it. So he advances, so that means he will face, once again, Shota Umino. It will be like a somewhat version of a rematch between those two. Our next match, we have Drilla Maloney versus Tomohiro Ishii. Now, you probably can guess, will the Stone Pitbull take him out? We know that the Stone Pitbull, he doesn't back down from any fight whatsoever. But Drilla Maloney, who was very impressive by defeating, of course, Shingo Takagi in Osaka, well, he decided to pull it off again, pulling a rabbit out of his hat when he applied the Drilla Killer onto Ishii, and just like that, he advances. Our next match, we have Cal Newman taking on Naito. Now, this is not the first time these two face each other. Well, the one thing that Cal Newman needs to be more careful is the injured leg that he suffered last year. That was the one thing he needs to be more careful. But however, Naito defeated him by applying a roll up, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he advances. Now for a main event: Satoshi Kojima teaming up with Blue Justice, taking on Hiroshi Tanahashi and Hiroki Goto. So this is, like I said, is a preliminary match between Goto and Nagata. But the real question is who will build up momentum. Recently, Nagata was able to pull it off twice so far. But how this was going to turn out? Well, it was Goto who picked it up when he applied the GTR on Kojima, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So basically, now you know. So I can't wait to see what day 3 will bring out. Now remember, there's still some more matches involving this, so stay tuned for more. But as of right now, let's move on to the next and final review, AEW Revolution. AEW Revolution. Now let's begin with the 0 hour matches. First match, we have Blake Christian and Lee Johnson taking on Hologram and Commander. Now, let's look at some factors here. You look at Hologram and Commander, they seem like they can coexist due to the fact of their background as luchadores, and that plays out pretty well. But when it comes to Blake Christian and Lee Johnson, well, both of these men, well, this was a makeshift team, well, you can say that they have the same arrogancy. But however, it was Hologram who picked up the win when he applied, of course, a 450 splash on Blake Christian, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next match, we have the members of Shane Taylor Promotions. Shane Taylor himself with the Infantry, Carly Bravo, and Sean Dean, along with the current ROH Pure Wrestling Champion, Lee Moriarty, taking on the Undisputed Kingdom, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly. They team up with the TNT Champion, Daniel Garcia. Now, of course, many of you may question, can Garcia and Adam Cole coexist? Most likely you can make them coexist if it's possible. However, of course, it was Garcia with the Scorpion Deathlock onto Moriarty. And just like that, Moriarty had no choice but to tap out. Next up, we were supposed to have Gravity versus Chris Jericho, but this was an assault by Jericho to to send a message to Bandito through Gravity. However, they removed his mask, and not to mention Gravity's family, Bandito and Gravity's family tried to defend him, but Jericho, he crossed the line. Sooner or later, I'm sure Gravity and Bandito will get their revenge for what they did. So that's going to be interesting to see. Finally, we have MXM Collection teaming up with Johnny TV to take on Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, and Big Boom AJ. I thought the match was really interesting. However, it did not go without any notice because apparently Taya Valkyrie intended to get in the way, but she got herself handed by none other than Feel the Wrath. That's right, Harley Cameron took care of business. But one thing was interesting is when Johnny TV was Mansoor was attempting to take out Big Boom, well, his son, Big Justice, powerbombed him. Yep, he did. Then, of course, Maiden was attempting to hurt him, but luckily nothing came harm. But it was, in fact, of course, Mason to end up with the boom by AJ, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, give me a minute, boys and girls. All right. Now let's jump in with the main card matches. MJF versus Hangman Adam Page. As you know, this rivalry has been going on for weeks. Hangman, as you know, had enough of the crap with MJF, and MJF can't stand him. So basically, you know how that it is. But, however, we know MJF is a bit more clever at what he does. Try to avoid certain moves that his opponents would do, like, of course, the buckshot lariat and all this. However, Hangman was able to succeed by applying that to MJF, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our next match, we have the TBS Championship on the line. Mercedes Moné defends her belt against Stardom's very own Momo Watanabe. Now, this is the second time these two go head to head. The first time was not for the TBS belt, it was for the New Japan Strong title. And also, to make a note, if you noticed, Billy Starks, in fact, attempting to, of course, watch the match. She was probably taking notes. However, you know Momo how she is, what she's intending to do. However, there was a moment where Momo jumped off the corner buckle, might have injured herself. Seems like she might have injured her ankle, not 200% sure. But Mercedes Moné applied the moneymaker, then a crossface, and just like that, she retained the belt. It was also noted that Momo was carried out to the back. Most likely she did got injured. We still don't know yet. Hopefully when she returns to Japan, we'll get a full lowdown, because most Japanese wrestlers would rather get, medical treatment in their own home country. So it's understandable on that. Now, our next match, we have Ricochet versus Swerve Strickland. This dates back about a year, almost a year. As you all know, when Ricochet first made a burst into the AEW scene, well, Swerve was attempting to make his life a living hell by saying, "Do not screw up" on the Continental Classic or something. And of course, Ricochet took that like very, very, he got pissed that he made his life miserable, and he tried to, and then he took, of course, the embassy robe that Nana gave to whatever his name is. I think Jimmy Rave. But however, this stipulation is whoever walks away will be the number one contender for the AEW World Title. However, there was a moment when, of course, Nana got the robe back, but however, Ricochet got it back, and then later, um, Swerve applied the JBL driver, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he regained the robe and gave it back to Nana, just like that. So he will be facing who will walk out between Cope or Jon Moxley. Our next match is the AEW Continental Championship. Brody King versus Kazuchika Okada. Now, of course, we know Okada is a bit arrogant, cocky, and all that ever since he first arrived at AEW. As you all know, he took out Buddy Matthews in Australia, but now Brody King steps up the game. But unfortunately, he did not walk out, great. Brody King ended up losing to Okada with the Rainmaker, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Okada just reigns supreme. Our next match, we have the AEW World Tag Team titles. The Outrunners make their biggest match ever. They face against the Hurt Syndicate. I have to say, it was a pretty good match. I mean, not to mention that their Outrunners are a very impressive team. However, they did not come out of this lucky, because Bobby Lashley speared Turbo, but he wasn't the legal man to pin him. It was, of course, Shelton Benjamin. And just like that, the Hurt Business retained the tag team belts. Our next match is the AEW Women's World Championship in a Hollywood ending match. This rivalry between Mariah May and Toni Storm is telling the story that someone will come out of this alive. And this is where those moments where we'll see these two attempting to kill each other to the fullest. I mean, you can tell there was going to be a lot of plunder with many stuff, tables, chairs, whatever. Not to mention the shoe was used, the same shoe that Mariah May used on Toni Storm on the day of her betrayal. However, Toni Storm walked away when she applied the Storm Zero on some sort of hard board, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Toni Storms walks out and got her Hollywood ending. So I guess the real question is, where does this lead to Mariah May? So we'll find out soon enough, possibly on Wednesday. Our next match, we have the AEW International Championship. Kenny Omega faces against Konosuke Takeshita, someone from his past back in DDT. Now, of course, that snake of the grass, Don Callis, attempting to get involved. But of course, it would take Kenny Omega had lost already twice against Takeshita, but the one thing that he finds annoying, yeah, so what if he beats me twice? It's so annoying. However, of course, Takeshita was going to try to dodge every move that Kenny Omega applies to him, and that's exactly what he did. However, Kenny Omega applied a crucifix counter onto Takeshita, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, brand new AEW International Champion. So that means, of course, Don Callis, he has to put on his big diapers and cry like a little bitch about it. I'm sure he'll cry about it in Wednesday. Trust me, guys. That's who he is. He likes to cry like to be all dramatic. He'll treat it like a fluke. That's who he is. He calls other people narcissists, but the reality, he's a narcissist baby. So put that on the mental note, folks. Now, next match, Steel Cage. Kyle Fletcher versus Will Ospreay. Oh my effing God. This match was brutal. I mean, you saw how brutal it is. Bloody murder everywhere if you can see it. And of course, Don Callis was going to have Mark Davis to get involved. I mean, it's no secret that, of course, Don Callis would do whatever it takes to turn the people who were close to Ospreay against him. But it did not work that often. But there was a moment where, of course, we saw the super Spanish fight at the top of the steel cage. That could have ended anything for both of these guys. But the one thing that was very interesting is when Fletcher was saying that I hate you, F you, that sort of thing, and then the hidden blade, and then, of course, the one move he swore he was never going to use, well, he actually did it. Instead of Stormbreaker, he applied the Tiger Driver 97, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Ospreay walks away. Even though he is battered and bruised, he walks away, finally defeating Kyle Fletcher. And I'm sure, once again, as I said it before, Don Callis probably will be wearing his big baby diapers, crying like a little bitch. So we'll see what happens on Wednesday. I wouldn't be surprised, just like Kenny, that he's going to say it's all a fluke. Trust me, he'll probably say that. Now, our main event, AEW World Championship. Jon Moxley, as you know, is attempting to make sure that the title stays in Death Riders for good, because he's saying he's trying to save AEW from what it is. However, Cope is determined to dethrone him. But the one thing we did not count on is Wheeler Yuta, once again, who's been a kiss-ass to Jon Moxley, decided to help. However, Christian took a moment to ensure he gets a shot. He even cashed it in. Finally cashed it in because he thought if he pinned Copeland, it would be easy for him to win it. However, Jay White tried to stop him, but it didn't do any good for him. But the moment, of course, Jay White accidentally messed up. He attempting to hurt Christian, but he accidentally hit Copeland, costing him the match. But however, that does not end there. Christian had this match won, but of course, Moxley saw that, he put it in the chokehold. But the one thing I did notice, if you guys know this, you saw how desperate Christian was. He knows there was no way he could pin Moxley, which was a very tactical move. He knew there's no way he could do it with Moxley. But if he pinned Copeland, automatically he wins. But, of course, Moxley is no idiot. He knows that's what Christian attempting to do. But Christian failed to do so. So, in honest opinion, you can say that Copeland did not win or lose. It was, in fact, Christian. And, of course, Christian passed out, and just like that, it was over. Now, I don't know what's going to happen this Wednesday between Cope and Jay White. I'm sure Cope is going to say it's not his fault, but I'm sure everybody can say that, well, Christian, he can complain all he wants on Wednesday saying that he had this match won, but it doesn't matter. But one thing we do know, well, Jon Moxley may have retained the belt, but he has one thing in mind, and that is, of course, to ensure no one challenges him. But there is a challenger, and we all know who that is. Swerve's house. Well, Swerve took him out, so I'm sure Jon Moxley is not going to take this kindly. So we'll see what happens on Wednesday. But as of right now, we are done with AEW Revolution. I believe it's time to finish up our episode with some news updates. welcome to our news updates. So let's begin, of course, with upcoming events. Now, so far, we don't have much of the GCW stuff like always, but that's a little later. But right now, we have two with Wrestling Revolver. They have two events coming up, one later on this month called Goated. They announced Ace Austin will take on Dennis Chambers. And then, of course, a month later on April 5th, making their debut in Chicago, we did that. They announced the debut of Mustafa Ali. Now, it's no secret that Mustafa Ali is from Chicago, so that makes a lot more sense. Now, moving on. As you probably know, we will be getting closer to the upcoming Barb Sasaki 25th anniversary Crazy Fest. Well, they just announced a very interesting match. As you all know, they announced the Stardom talent to be involved. Well, the members of Stars will be teaming up together. Saya Ida, Azuki, and Mayu Itani, they will take on Neo Genesis, Maesita, Azumi, and Starlight Kid, which is going to be interesting. But yeah, that's kind of really cool. Now, as you know, we have the 2-day event with Maple Leaf Wrestling with Mayhem in Ontario. Night 1 on the 14th of March, the Intergalactic Jet Setters will take on Q Team Marshall and Blake Christian. And as for night 2 on the 15th of March, there's a 3-way match. Kaito Kiyomiya versus Alex Zane versus Taiji Ishimori. And then there's, of course, Billy Gunn and Bishop Dyer, formerly known as Baron Corbin. They'll take on Tom Latimer and Matt Cardona. Now, you may have noticed there's 3 former WWE superstars involved in this match, which is very interesting. As you all know, there is the Reality of Wrestling, which is the promotion and wrestling school of Booker T. They just announced for their upcoming event late this month on the 30th on March. Glory, they announced Wesley will be participating as well. Prestige Wrestling has announced for the Roseland 11 show on the 12th of April. Well, as you all know, that Prestige is in a partnership with both Deadlock Pro Wrestling and West Coast Pro. They announced that the West Coast Pro tag team belts will be defended. Crush Boys consisted of Titus Alexander and Starboy Charlie will defend their belts against Trevor Lee, formerly known as Cameron Grimes, to the moon, and Andrew Everett. So, and the thing is this, if they lose the belts, well, it's over. So basically, we'll see how that goes. Spark Joshi Puroresu of America has announced for the Lady Luck event in Las Vegas on the 17th of April. Ram Kaicho will be participating. Now, she's the first one so far to be announced to be involved, but we'll see. GCW has announced that they'll be making their debut city at Portland, Oregon on the 4th of May. So, yes, so that's another good thing for them. And then finally, as you all know, Kitsune Women's Wrestling have their 2-day shows, one here in San Diego, the other one in LA. They just made their announcement for both on the 7th and 8th of June. They announced Yuna Manaze, our current, of course, women's champion, will be involved. Hopefully, I get to see it. I want to meet her. You know, that's the thing. Hopefully, I really need to see it. I want to see it. I want to see it. So we'll see what happens. But is that right now? We're done with this. Let's move on to some interesting developments. Well, I want to give congratulations to, I should say, Leyla Hirsch. You may have heard that she tied the knot with her partner. Many of you know that she's a lesbian. So congratulations to her. So as you all know, she's a free agent or so from AEW. So hopefully we see her down the line. But there's no yet news what she's going to do next. Indi Hartwell, as you probably know, she just been released from WWE about a while ago. Well, she made her first official championship win post WWE. That she is now the women's champion for Renegades of Wrestling, which is a promotion based out of Australia in her home country. So it's pretty cool to hear that. AEW announces for some releases coming up with them, Abaddon and Nick Camarado. So those are the latest news on that. AEW Revolution backstage news. Well, Wardlow and Electro Lopez has been announced. Now, some of you may question where the hell was Wardlow. It was revealed that he's been involved in some project that is being filmed, so we don't know when he'll be back. As for Electro Lopez, that's an interesting thing about her. As you all know, recently I did report that she was in the backstage during an event with TNA. I don't know if she's trying to decide where to go next. Will it be with TNA or, of course, AEW? Now, a part of me would like to think that some of you, or I'd say maybe most of you, would think she's better off with TNA. That's, I mean, that's your perspective, but we just don't know. I'm sure she's trying to decide that for herself, but we'll wait. Now, as you all know, we have the partnership between WWE and TNA. Vic Joseph, who is the commentator with NXT, um, as you know, he's married to McKenzie Mitchell, who was a backstage interviewer who was released. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. I'm not sure. He was still in shock that they released her, but as you all know, Kenzie Mitchell is now the ring announcer with TNA. So there is the possible of reunions in the card. I'm sure Vic Joseph was still shocked that they had to let her go, but I know it's killing him. Know that he's not around with his wife to be with her whenever they're leaving together, work together, and all that. But we'll see. Hopefully, things can work out between those two. I'm sure that it's killing them that they're not working in the same environment. But soon enough, we'll wait. But as of right now, I think we're officially done with everything else. Let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I haven't decided yet. Now, I'm sure there is day 2 of the Cinderella tournament. Might watch that. Then there's the Barb Sasaki 25th anniversary. Hopefully, I see that. We'll just see. I'm just gonna wing it because I'm pretty sure that majority of the entire next episode will be all about Japanese wrestling. So we'll see how that rolls up. But as of right now, we'll end things right here, and we'll see how that goes on the next episode. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.